If you reach the interview stage of your apprenticeship, you can have the best grades out of everyone. But for an engineering apprenticeship, they aren't testing what you know, it's how you apply it. In this video, I'll run through the top 10 most asked questions for your interview, and this is specific to an engineering apprenticeship. So with all that being said, let's get into the video. So here's the deal. By the end of this video, for every of these 10 questions, you'll know 3 things. What the interviewer is secretly thinking when they ask it, a simple way to structure your answer, and the mistake that catches most people out so you can dodge it. Most applicants walk in and wing it, and that is exactly why they lose. And stay to the end because question 10 sounds like the easiest one on the list, but this is where most people throw the interview away right at the end. So a quick thing before the questions, because it changes how you will answer all of them. The interviewer is really testing 3 things. The first being your motivation. Do you actually want this, or do you just spam these applications? And then number 2 is thinking. When you hit something you don't know, do you panic or do you work it out? And then 3 is the coachability. Can you take that feedback and can you grow? Nobody expects a finished engineer when you're 17, but they're hiring that potential. They want to see how you handle things, how you take it in, and how you change and how you grow from that. So from here, every single question that follows maps back to one of these 3 main points. So question 1, why engineering? This is the motivation check, and most people fail it with a school answer. They might say, I like maths or I'm good at physics. The problem is that everybody else in the waiting room will have that same sort of answer, and it tells them nothing about you. You need to be specific. A strong answer is a story. The moment engineering hooked you, for example, it could be a time you had to fix your bike, maybe the brakes felt spongy, or maybe you built your own PC, or you had to pull apart a radio to see what's inside. You can make these things up, but be specific and make these small details really stand out because this is what they're looking for, that you have a passion and that you have something unique towards you. But the main thing here is having your own personal true story is better than having a pre-prepared sentence. So question 2, why an apprenticeship instead of university? They're checking this is a deliberate choice, not a fallback, but you should have a genuine case here. From day one, you're earning a wage. And while uni students are paying fees, you finish with zero tuition debt, while a typical graduate leaves with somewhere around £40,000 of it. And you learn on real projects with real engineers, not just in lecture halls. Now the trap is that you don't want to slag off university. I never say I don't like studying because on your apprenticeship you're going to be studying and they're going to be expecting you to go above and beyond. You need to frame it as it's your choice. I learn best by doing. You're going to show that you're confident, you're positive and you're deliberate. So question 3, why do you want to work for us specifically? This is a research test and it's the easiest question to score points on because barely anybody bothers to actually research the company beforehand. The killer weak answer is you're a big company with good opportunities, it's easy to network. But you could literally say that to any employer. Instead, you want to use a simple formula. So you can mention one real project of theirs, and then plus one thing about how they train or what they value. And then plus you can then link it back to you. That is the main thing. What they're trying to look for is how you link what they are to what you are. And it sort of shows them how you will fit into the workplace in a way. And then Pip's tip is the night before, spend some time looking at the career page, look at the company, see any recent projects, have a firm understanding so when you go into the interview, you're ready and you know about the company. And this small detail is all it takes to actually show that you care about the interview and the company. So question 4, tell me a time you solved a problem. This is a competency question. The first of the tell me about a time family, and they want evidence, not opinions. Saying I'm a good problem solver proves nothing. Telling a structured story proves everything. And there's a 4-letter cheat code that structures every single one of these answers for you. And here it is, the STAR method. Situation, task, action, result. So situation is one sentence of context. For example, in school, a mountain kept snapping that held up the monitor. The task would then be what were you responsible for? I had to make it survive testing if you were modeling this on CAD, for example. And then the action would be the biggest part of your answer, what you actually did, step by step. I worked out the crack, all it started at a sharp corner. I had to redesign it with a curved fillet and then I reprinted it. And then finally, your result, how it ended with a number if you can. It passed every test after that and we finished a week early. If you look at the bar here, action gets the most time and this is the main bit of the answer and then the result closes it. If you miss the result, the whole story falls apart. This same skeleton works for question 5 coming up. So on question 5, it is tell me a time you worked in a team. Again here you want to use that star format. So the question says team, and normally everyone answers with we built a robot, we won the competition, and the interview learns nothing about you once again. All it seems to them is that you were just there, you were just a little side piece. But you have to understand that they're hiring you, not your mates, so name your role. I was in a team of 4. I took on the wiring because nobody else wanted to do it. I redid this, I fixed that, I told him to do this. It's about I. Don't get me wrong, it is about teamwork, but you have to tell them what you're doing in the team. We is for the context, I is for the credit. So question 6. How would you approach a problem you don't know the answer to? So let's read that again. They're telling you up front they don't expect you to know the answer. This tests your mindset, not knowledge. So you want to show them a method. Step 1, you want to show how you break it down into smaller pieces that you do understand. And then step 2 is you want to ask questions. What do I know? What can I look up? Who can I check with? Asking is an engineering skill, it's not a weakness. And then step 3 is test an idea, see what happens and then adjust and come back with real results. And crucially, you want to be thinking out loud in the room. Silence reads as panic, reasoning reads as potential. You want to show the assessors how you're physically reasoning your answers. And if you have engineers in the room, you might be able to match with them because they will see the same thought process as them. So question 7, what area of engineering interests you and why? Now this question only catches people at the most because they go specific or they don't know what to say. So you want to make sure that you know the 4 big ones. The first being mechanical, the things that move. Then you have electrical, that's your power, your circuits. Then you have civil, the things that stand up, your buildings, your bridges and whatnot. And then you have software, the compute. You don't need to be certain about your future, you just need to have a reason and why. So for example, you could say that you lean more towards electrical because when you built your PC, you were fascinated by the way the CPU part of it worked and you went down that software engineering route. Just make sure you know the 4, but you should ideally have one in your head that you're more specified towards. And then the killer mistake is I don't mind anything really. That's not open-minded, that just shows you're underprepared. You want to go in with a strong answer so they know that you're there and you're serious. So question 8, tell me about a project, something you've built, something you've fixed. This is the hands-on evidence check and here's a reassuring bit. Anything counts really. They just want to see what sort of answer you give. So for example, you could mention a PC build, it could be fixing your bike, it could be writing some code, it could be a DT project in school, even taking apart something just to see how it worked. You want to structure it with a spine, what it was, why you did it, and what went wrong, because something always goes wrong, and even if it didn't, just make it up. And then the interesting part is what you would do differently in the future, what you would change. But never say, I haven't really built anything, because you have. Find something, and if you need to make up a story once again, they're not going to go and fact check it if you say, oh, if I built a PC. But beforehand, before you go into the interview, just have something prepared around this question so you know what you can say in the interview. So question 9, how do you handle mistakes or feedback? This is a coachability test. Remember the third secret from right at the start. Apprenticeships are 4 years of being corrected, so they need to know that you're able to take it, you're able to take on this advice and you're able to grow. So an example of this could be when you were in school in DT, you were doing some soldering on a circuit board and all the joints went dry. You can then say you owned up, you say that you messed up, you redid it, and then you can retest it and now it works. You've shown a real mistake, but you've also shown honesty told, and this will beat fake perfection every single time. You want to show that you're able to take on feedback and criticism and change and grow. And whatever you do, don't claim that you don't make mistakes because everybody does. They want to see what you're able to do next. And then question 10, do you have any questions for us? It sounds like the interview's over. It isn't. It's the last thing they will always remember about you. So you're going to walk in with 2 questions ready. You can ask about training, for example. What does the first 6 months of training actually look like? Or you could ask about the work. What kind of projects do apprentices normally have to do? Or you can ask about progression. Where have past apprentices end up? But what you don't want to do is say, no, I'm good, I've not got any questions. Because you just told them you're not bothered. It shows that you're not really researched the company or you don't care about this actual role. It looks bad on you. You're always going to have questions ready for that interview. Another rule is that you don't want to make your only questions about pay or holidays because this makes you look bad that you're only here for the luxuries of the job. You want to show, especially at the start, that you're here to get your hands dirty and really put the work in. So a quick recap. So why engineering? You can tell the story. Why an apprenticeship? It's a choice, it's not a fallback. Why us? One project, one value, one you. Problem solved, you got star. Then you got teamwork, which is star again. But in this case, you're going to be saying I, not we. And then any unknown problems, you want to break it down, ask, test, and speak out loud. And then which area, you want to have something to lean back on, and then a reason why. Built or fixed, anything real, including what went wrong. Mistakes, you want to own it, you want to fix it and learn. And then finally, questions for them. You want to have 2 ready, always. And that's the whole interview covered. Now, I'm not saying all these questions will come up, but these are the most common questions that normally come up in interviews specific to apprenticeships and more specific to engineering questions. So one last thing you should know, knowing the answers and saying them out loud under pressure are two different skills, and the second one only comes with practice. That's exactly what Fledge is for. So Pip, Fledge's AI, runs full mock interviews with you. You can ask it the questions and it will listen to your answers. And it will give you feedback on the spot. Plus, there are loads of prep guides for specific employers, plus other tips for your application, for your interviews, for your assessment centres, the whole thing to do with apprenticeships. So when you walk into the interview, you know exactly what is required from you. It's free to start, and the website is usefledge.co.uk. So you know the 10 questions, you know what they're really asking, and you know the mistakes that you need to dodge. The next step is for you to go practice, think out loud, you got this, and good luck. And the one final thing I will say is take your time in the interview.